What was that?
It's perfect. You want to see that guy?
Wow. What up, everybody? Welcome to 2023 DC TV. I hope you guys had a great holiday time and appreciate Brandon, aka at the Real Data Lord, holding down the fort while we were all celebrating time with family and friends. Appreciate you, brother.
Looking good. You're a little fuzzy, Brandon. Just
Hell no, I'm not. It's my face. I have a beard.
Yeah, you're kind of living in a Minecraft world or something. I don't know what's going on over there. But
Not on my screen. It's on you.
okay, good. Lord Famer, please settle this for us. And the code bug.
I beg to differ. Anyways, guys, what's going on? Welcome to DC TV. It is Wednesday, January 4th. Looking at futures right now, I'm seeing the S&P is up. We'll see how long that lasts. If we look at yesterday, it might not stay green, but we are in the green here. It's up 22 points. The Dow's up 153. Nasdaq's up 85. And looking at crude oil, that's at $75 a barrel. And then, of course, we have the old Bitcoin at 16,800. That's up 102 points today, Jaime. And listen, man, I feel like it's been a minute since we've actually looked at the charts, and wanted to give you the floor on this. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys so you can take a look and see what exactly is going on here with Bitcoin.
All right. So on Monday, we had done a quick review overall on how the year ended. But today's hump day. So let's see what the hump we're looking at. Here's what we're looking at today. Overall, Bitcoin itself is in at the bottom. You can see that the time period of a typical bear period for Bitcoin and the growth S curve, we are scraping the bottom at this moment. I still have buy zones way down here, 13.8 all the way down to 10, more or less, with a Hail Mary all the way down to 9,200. Just do your own research, not financial advice, but this is where we're at currently. Moving on to the monthly view, which is a clearer picture of it all. You can see Bitcoin, we closed below our previous thin ice we were at, which was the wick, one of the lower wick of the previous bull run. So I'm looking for Bitcoin to tap the actual floor standing currently at 13,888. A lot of times you look at the chart and you look at, okay, this is what should happen. You just don't know how it's going to happen. And then we see that big dump that occurred in November, which is this one right here with SBX, FTX, and SBF being the trigger of this downfall, which took quite a few people down with it in the industry overall. The big question is, okay, what is going to trigger this final leg down, this capitulation that we're gunning for? Well, we will speak of that shortly. There is a possible second shoe. We've discussed the possibility of Binance being one of them. We'll discuss that.
Yep.
And we will also discuss what's going to occur this Friday, a high noon showdown that should trigger this. So Bitcoin is where it needs to be at the moment. It's just waiting for news. The overall market, if you see here on the right, crypto market and the rest of the market is pretty green. And you're seeing some bets being put on the table by Induquant, BNB, Matic, and a few of the well-known and building cryptos that are building to this. So that's where we're at today. That's the simple version, and that's the update. If there's any questions, anyone, please drop it in there.
So just a bottom line type of sentiment here is that we're still feeling bearish right now, correct?
Yes. So despite the green we're seeing today, we will discuss what's about to occur on Friday. So this may be the little pump, get everyone excited for the market to then take one more leg down, which this is highly speculative. This may or may not be the shoe we're looking for. That should trigger the drop around Friday, maybe over the weekend into Monday, because there's a certain, I don't want to give it away, but it involves the largest investor, one of the large shoes that is heavily into crypto and even has retirement asset you can invest in with Fidelity and the big institutions that's at risk. So we will discuss that in a moment.
Yeah, we're going to be getting into a lot of that stuff, guys. So if you guys haven't seen some of the news, the Winklevoss twins are back in the news. We're going to be talking about that somewhat. We're also going to be talking about, obviously, SBF and the saga that continues there, and his not guilty plea. As you guys saw in the title, I find it very interesting that literally everybody else around him has pleaded guilty except him. And I want to get your thoughts and leave some thoughts in the comments as well on whether or not he can get away with it. Can he actually pull this off? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit here further along in today's show. Also, as well as Bernstein talking about Binance and the future of that exchange as well. Is it good? Is it bad? We'll find out later in today's show. All right, so moving on. Thanks, Jaime, for the update on the charts. I wanted to get into the WTF, and Brandon actually brought this one to the table. And I had a couple of things that I wanted to chat about, but this one I was kind of like, WTF. That's definitely something that is worth talking about. And it is a article about a woman who makes teddy bear figurines entirely out of belly button lint.
Oh,
My wife found this. No kidding. We were joking about it because
Yeah.
I have lint often in the evening. I'll like take my shirt off. She's like, "You got lint!" Like, dang it! So we're joking about it, and then
Oh my
she found
God.
Jesus.
She's like, "I wonder if you could make yarn out of it." And then she found this story.
Look at this shit. Look at this shit. I don't even know how old this is.
That's disturbing.
That entire thing is made out of belly button.
Bro.
Who thinks about this shit? All right, so here's the story. Artist Rachel, using the term loosely, Rachel Betty Case labored for months to collect the lint from belly buttons of her male friends to bear figurines. She said, "I'll admit it's as disgusting as it sounds. They sure are adorable."
Oh my God.
Aside from making disgusting cute bears, Rachel has proven that there may just be some worth to belly button lint. Who knows? Maybe one day they will be harvested and turned into disgusting warm sweaters. No thanks. But that is, and she puts them in. She apparently puts them in jars too. What the fuck?
Circle of life, right?
Absolutely.
It was a shirt, then it became lint, then it became a shirt again. Right?
Yeah. This whole another man's trash is bullshit. It's all crap.
To the next level, man.
I mean, what the that is a WTF if I've ever seen. Look at this.
Yeah.
She just puts it straight.
In his double
This
head.
is a two-headed bear.
And she's listening to Death Cab for Cutie. You
To
know
make
she
it even
is.
more fucked up.
Damn. All right. Send your
God
lint.
damn.
Every time you shower, send a little care package to her. Give her some
Jesus
material.
Christ. Yeah, thanks for that, Brandon. All right.
Mrs.
So-
Data Lord, thanks a lot.
I wanted to shout out a couple of people that are tuning in this morning so far. Lord Fenrir, the Code Bug. I see you out there. And
Damn.
Tampa is in the house. She's not feeling well today, so she wasn't able to make it to today's show. Hopefully, we'll see her there Friday. Feel better. And why did I say Ann? I've never called you Ann in my life. Tampa,
Well, you did because you seed it on the TV.
I know that's what's happening. It's yeah. Tamp, feel better. We love you. All right, so a couple other things that I wanted to just take note of. Did you guys? I don't know if it necessarily falls into the WTF category, but my soul was hurt when I found out that Ken Block died. Did you guys see
same.
that? My God.
Yeah.
Well, he's part of our community is the thing. He started DC Shoes with Deer Dick, and
Yeah.
all the Hoonigan car stuff was like so innovative. It pulled people who were not super into cars into motorsports, and it basically he's I'm not going to say single-handedly responsible, but he's largely responsible for most people who got into like car tuning. And
One of the OGs.
Especially in the rally space, right? I mean, that's what he's kind of like known for. Where
Yeah.
like I mean, just
Right off the cliff and going full.
Pikes Peak.
Yeah. When I saw the news, I was just like, no, this is not even fucking real. I didn't believe it at first. It was almost kind of like it was like a Kobe moment. Like when Kobe died, I was like, nah, it ain't fucking real. That ain't the truth. And then it ended up becoming, it was like that same type of feeling. I was just like, damn, my God. I just watched, did you guys see the video he did with Hoonigans in Vegas with the all electric Audi rally car.
Mhm.
Oh my God, that thing, you have to watch it. It was
Yeah.
insane.
Damn.
But I think his 16-year-old daughter is also just rebuilt an Audi, and looks like she's going to be getting into the scene as well. So
He's
I'll
been
be-
training her to take over the
Yeah.
steering wheel. Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome.
exactly. So shout out, rest in peace to Ken Block, man. It's just
And his family.
yeah, it just sucks. And then I mean, this is like got 2020 vibes, because then you had Damar Hamlin on Monday Night Football. Like, just that was a scary situation. Never seen anybody just have their heart
Collapse.
stop beating, and collapse like that.
Bro, it's a thing. If you look up Twitter, sudden collapse, hashtag sudden collapse.
Yeah. So there's a few. I had a conversation about this with some people who are deep in medical. There are some people who think it's like vaccine related, but there's other people who this has happened. There's precedence for this prior to vaccine too, where if your heartbeat is on a certain part of its rhythm and it gets shocked, it just flutters instead of actually continuing to pump. And thankfully, there's like all the medical experts present on the field able to get directly into actual CPR, which is horrifying. It like breaks ribs and whatnot, but
yeah,
that's probably what saved him, honestly.
Yeah, it's actually really common. So I won't say really common, but it's more common in like baseball players, because like especially like little league and stuff, baseball comes in, hits you in the chest at the right time, and it is like it has to hit within like 0.06 seconds.
Yeah,
like that's the time frame.
It's frame perfect for all you gamers out there.
Yeah. And the scary part is that like it was a routine tackle, right? I mean, there wasn't anything crazy about it. He just stood up and just fell out. It was just like, holy shit, so crazy stuff that happened over the holiday season. Then also Jeremy Renner too, might lose his leg from a snow plowing accident. I mean,
bro,
he's okay. He actually ended up tweeting out a picture of himself, talking about how he wasn't really able to type much, but letting everybody know that he's okay, I guess, is okay can be. Okay meaning that he's still alive. But man,
what a crazy start, though.
It's a spectrum.
I'm
Being
saying.
okay is a spectrum.
I'm telling you, I got 2020 vibes already in 2023. This all happened since the first of the year, guys.
Damn.
Just absolutely wild.
Buckle up, everyone. Friday may be another.
I know.
shoe
My
drop.
God, man. My God, unbelievable. All right. So, anyways, that's your WTF and the news of the week so far. Just some unbelievable stuff happening, guys. But I wanted to get into, if you want to talk more about that stuff, make sure you go ahead and check out our Discord. The link is in the description. We're going to be getting into the crypto stuff, obviously, right now. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Hit the like if you're loving the stream so far. This is just our normal cadence. If you're new to the channel, we kind of get into a little bit of crypto stuff in the beginning, talk about some general news stuff, and then we get into meat and potatoes as everybody wakes up and has their coffee of what's going on in the crypto space. And if you guys have been following since the beginning of November about the FTX debacle, we're finally getting into the stages of trial for stages of for SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, formerly of FTX. If you guys have been following the story, I haven't been following the story. Obviously, you've probably been living under a rock if you haven't been following the story. But just to give you a brief synopsis here, FTX went bankrupt. There's a lot going on here on a fraud standpoint. Essentially, what Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX is being accused of was taking investor funds and just gallivanting it all over the globe with other people's money, not actually investing it. And there's been a flurry of charges on Sam Bankman-Fried, 8 of them just from the FTC. So this is going to continue to be a huge thing. Now, to give you a little bit more of a backstory, Caroline Ellison, who was former significant other of Sam Bankman-Fried, also CEO of Alameda, which was co-founded by Sam Bankman-Fried, pled guilty. And then so did Gary Wang, who was VP, CTO of FTX. And it seems as if perhaps they pled guilty in exchange for giving up information for a lesser sentence. We have yet to see the sentences for those, but we'll obviously keep you updated on that. But then Sam Bankman-Fried comes out and says, "Nope, I'm not guilty of any of this."
Yep.
He goes out,
Despite that.
gets bailed out in $250 million bond. Then his lawyers come out. So his parents signed as collateral. And then there's
Their house.
there's two anonymous supporters, I guess, that also put up the money for the bond that his lawyers are requesting remain anonymous. The whole thing
It
just
was rented.
right.
Yeah.
It all still seems very shady at this point. And I want to give you guys the floor on your initial thoughts on all of this, especially like just the not guilty plea and then the $250 million bond. Like, where did all that money come from? But also, like, how do you? I guess that you think that somehow you're going to get away with it, but like, if everybody around you is like, "Yep, we fucking did it," and then you're like, "Wasn't me," I like, what's the thought process here? Maybe there's some sort of legal loophole that he's thinking that he could somehow jump through. Why plead not guilty when everybody else around you is literally saying that, yeah, we did it, we're going to take that lesser sentence?
I think he has no other choice. Like, no other choice but to now stand up and say, no, I didn't, because everyone else is giving the evidence to the contrary. So it's like his goose is cooked. It's not going to go any better if he declares himself guilty. So in this case, it's like, strap up and let's go to war. It's the only strategy possible for him.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I think there's a deal under the hood that you're not seeing. Just knowing his connections, like his mommy is buddies with Hillary Clinton. Like, my guess is there's like some political inroad that he has where they're like, look, drag this thing out, just buy us some time and we'll get the thing in place. So even if you get hit with a sentence, we'll still get you in witness protection or something. That's my guess. That's how really big money stuff tends to go. You end up getting very different privileges than the general public does.
Right.
But that's Conspiracy Friday.
So I guess I understand what you're saying, Brandon, but my other thing would be, like, usually if you're going to, I would imagine that, and maybe he wasn't offered some sort of deal, the same type of deal that Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang were offered. Maybe he hasn't been approached by that at all, but my hunch is that he has, to at least some extent. Somebody has asked him to just plead guilty and take the lesser sentence. Because if you don't, usually the prosecutors are like, all right, well, it's off the table.
Right.
It's either now or never. And if you say never, then and you end up being found guilty, it's going to be really bad for you. And if it ends up going the way of Bernie Madoff, like, I mean, he's looking at 65 years plus in prison.
Right.
Not to say that he's going to get it, but that's what he's facing.
Well, and it could also be that, like, the plausible deniability is stronger than the public realizes, because like, I don't know, we've seen this happen a few times in the most recent high profile court cases where, like, you'll have people come in and literally present like low resolution images that were tampered with as part of like the review, and that's not good. That's not appropriate for like court audit, right? Like, if you're presenting evidence, it has to be untampered evidence. You can't like edit a photo and then present an edited photo in your defense or offense, right? So I don't know. I'm curious if either there's like some shyster prosecutors that are going to be up who are just going to fudge the numbers and have it be thrown out, or that's kind of what I'm looking for. Just one of those funny curveballs.
And the fact that no internet privileges have been taken or suspended, or like, he is, as long as he's his parents' house, his life continues normally. So I'm sure there's quite a few meetings, there's quite a few activity going on.
Right.
So it's almost as if, yeah, there is a plan and there is an exit strategy. And the court date has been set for October. So he's got a few months to get ready.
A few months. October, dude. It's January.
Yeah.
So
9 months.
It's a year.
I think what you're saying, as far as like there is a plan, I think it makes sense. I also think that this is going to go one of two ways. either he's so full of himself and so arrogant and thinking that he's just going to get away with it all, that's just how he's carrying himself, or he does have a plan. Because like leading up to this, right, he was on Twitter Spaces just spouting off. He was on the New York Times interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin, just saying whatever the fuck he wanted. Then was on
in the
some sort of podcast. I can't remember who it was, but he was on a podcast and then was actually like playing video games while he's talking about this whole situation.
He's always done that.
Yeah. I know, but like mid interview, like
yeah.
It's just like, what the hell? So I don't know if it's just like he's just that stupid or just that arrogant, or he actually does have a plan and knows what's up and
he's
just
untouchable.
It
The
feels,
deal.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he has that, just untouchable vibe, or just feels like he's invincible at this point.
Yeah, you can see it. I mean, in the actions and everything. And when you hire the best of the best and you have access to the best of the best, there are ways. And he's not. He is the guy that can bring the swamp to light.
Yeah,
can bring a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, he could
light.
fuck a lot of people over. I feel
yeah. So, and the fact that he's covering first, and then he's actually admitting fraud, like in these interviews, and then pleading not guilty. So you can see the wish-wash going on.
Well, he's claiming that he didn't know he was committing fraud.
You see,
he's just playing
Right.
dumb.
Right. So it's like he's throwing everything out on the table and see what sticks and what gets him out. And and the fact that he knows that there's people above that cannot have him speaking of them or his relationships with them or her or him.
Yeah.
It's follow the script, like Indo Crypto said, and you'll be okay. And I'm sure this script is collectively been written by everyone involved in this, whoever received donations, like everyone involved in this cannot afford for him to spill the beans.
Right.
So if he's that arrogant, like, hey, if you don't want me to say anything, get me out of this mess,
Right. Yeah, guys, we're going to continue to follow this. I mean, obviously him pleading not guilty, I don't think anybody was surprised about. I just wanted to kind of have a brief discussion on like, what's the strategy here? And like, what can we see come out of this? And why would he plead not guilty when everybody else around him is basically pointing a finger and being like, yeah, we did it. And he did it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just say that, we'll just go along with it.
He's the one who had the relationships with everybody who ever gave money.
Right.
He's the
one
one
SEC,
giving the
politicians, money. And we've seen a lot of that already. We've talked about it on this channel. And so like, I understand like his feeling of being invincible, but it's just like, man,
I think that invincibility is, if I'm going down, all you fuckers are going down with.
It's got to be that.
That's got to be right, because there just before, I think it was before he went to the hearing for his bail, that one judge had to step down because he had a personal connection with him or something like that.
Her husband had consulted for FTX.
That's what it was. Yep.
So this judge had which is the proper thing.
Sure. But it's just like, that's the connections are all over. It's just
correct. And with
crazy.
Even the Gary Gensler through Ellison and so many many powerful and even governmental entities and individuals that had direct communications with FTX. It's almost like, guys, I go down, we all go down together. So you get me out of this mess,
right?
Type thing, because you condoned it.
Yeah, it's crazy, guys. It's crazy.
Maybe they have a soy boy fetish. You never know.
They might. Guys, if you want to continue this conversation, make sure you check us out at our Discord. The link is in the description below. If you're enjoying the stream so far, make sure you hit that thumbs up. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe as well. That was the craziest. Did you see that?
Yeah. You drank that drink so fast. I thought
the lag. You
Dude, I know.
So it was like,
it's a winter wonderland. I'm telling you.
A time lapse sip. That was pretty crazy looking. So guys, if you're enjoying the stream so far, again, like I said, hit that thumbs up. We'll be back on Friday to do this all over again as well. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is our normal cadence for our live streams at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So make sure you're hitting that notification bell as well to get notified when we do go live. We're going to do a lot of new things too. I have a lot of ideas cooking up in this brain of mine for DC TV. And so you guys are going to want to be a part of that. Make sure you're doing all the proper clicks on all the channel. And we appreciate the support, of course, as well. All right. So next we have the Winklevoss twins, and it's getting a little bit rough. Jaime, this is something that you had brought to the table, but I actually been following it myself. Just appreciate you reminding me and bringing it to this morning's conversation. But Gemini and Genesis could be that next shoe to drop potentially for Bitcoin. We talked about at the top of the show. You had mentioned on the charts that there could be some sort of other major catalyst taking place as far as the next leg down. And this issue with Gemini, Grayscale, Genesis, and the Winklevoss twins could end up being that next shoe to drop.
Yes. So the Winklevoss twins had an agreement with DCG, led by Barry Silbert, on where anything to do with earning yield on your token staking, you would do it at Genesis, and you would stake your crypto. The one managing this and paying out the yield was Barry Silbert's organization, DCG, Digital Currency Group. Digital Currency Group also is the one who owns Grayscale and quite a few other assets. He's one of the largest in the world in terms of the crypto sphere that's done investments, and pretty much has touched, just like FTX. Once FTX came down, you started seeing like Solana and so many other organizations that were affected. And the fact that SBF was also involved with the Celsius meltdown with Luna and all that stuff, you're going to see, if DCG goes down, there's going to be quite a bit of repercussions in the market. It could be even worse than FTX, because Silbert has been involved in the crypto sphere longer than even Sam Bankman-Fried. So the whole argument here is the Winklevoss twins were saying, hey, we cannot pay out the interest, the yield that's due to our clients, because you have all the assets. So they're also making an argument like, okay, you're using clients' assets to do other deals in there. So they're arguing you used these clients' assets to buy the Grayscale Bitcoin trust to prop it up.
So is this
go ahead,
similar to like an FTX type of situation?
That's what they're saying.
That's what the accusations are?
Yes, their argument, the Winklevoss, is pay us the yield, give us the money, the tokens that belong to the clients, so we can, settle this.
Yeah.
But they keep saying, we keep proposing solutions to you, and you're just not answering. And yet DCG will answer in another tweet saying, yes, I sent this out, but I owe you guys nothing. And then Winklevoss twins, well, you have a promissory note, and so there's a lot of internal stuff being aired out in public.
Yeah.
And so what the Winklevoss Genesis has threatened was, either we settle this or we sit down to negotiate a solution to all this, or and we have to do it by Friday. This Friday, I forgot what the time was, to sit down and get this resolved. If not, then it seems they're going to release information, or it's just going to go public. But that could be one of the triggers of, okay, if it goes bad, if it goes well, we're good.
Yeah.
Everything should be settled.
Right.
It's like a $1 billion hole that
Jesus.
Genesis has because of DCG's actions and not paying out the earn yield out.
And they've been in that hole essentially since FTX crashed.
Yes, and ever since,
That's been part of the contagion. Like that was the
Yes.
connection between what happened to FTX and kind of bled over into the Genesis, and
because the entire market was taking
Right.
a shit with it.
so the over leverage is what kind of created this problem.
Yes, leverage, the financial aspect of it, not crypto. It's leverage
Right.
is what's killing everyone.
Which happens in banks all the time. So just to be
Correct.
clear, this isn't a crypto issue. This is a leverage issue
Yes.
that we see in traditional markets.
The
as well.
fractional reserves and all that
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
The problem with fractional reserves is if there's a bank run, there is no way to pay all the IOUs. And this is the situation that's going on here. Now, all of a sudden, the market's dropping, liquidity's pulled out.
Yeah.
They can't even pay the yield itself. So DCG withheld it, according to what the Genesis and Winklevoss are saying.
Yeah, this looks like it's an upward of almost $2 million or $2 billion.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So if this implodes, this would be the next shoe to drop. So be wary of this little run up at the moment. But this would be, if things go to shit on Friday and it goes public and all this stuff is aired out, it could trigger the liquidation of GBTC and a lot of other token. I think you have an article ready
Yes.
on that one. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll hold off on that. But
Sure.
there's a chain of reaction, just like FTX triggered all these bankruptcies. This will trigger even in the financial world bankruptcies of institutions that had money in DCG and in Gemini and in Genesis, in these services out there.
Right.
So watch Friday. Don't go all in on this pump that we're seeing at the moment. Friday will be pivotal. And who knows, maybe they'll postpone it, or they're saying we're talking and then it's held back until the truth comes out.
I mean, that's
Or it's
usually what
resolved.
happens, right? Like, I think that we're certainly not in the business of fear mongering anybody. And I don't want anybody to get that impression that we're just like, oh, the sky's going to fall on Friday. But I think it's just important to
Keep in mind.
yeah, just be aware of it, that this is something that could happen, and then plan accordingly for when if shit hits the fan.
Right.
And if it doesn't, great. If it does, at least you know what to do from there. So good stuff, Jaime. What are your thoughts? What do you think ends up taking place on Friday? How does it all play out?
It doesn't serve anyone for them to hold back the information. Either they sort this out, or he's in a pinch to such a degree where he's just going to have to show his cards and say, yes, I did. And if he did use those tokens or those assets to prop up GBTC,
yeah,
he could go to prison.
Right.
Because now he's commingling client assets. So
I was going to say, because that is the FTX.
Yes. So
story.
if that actually occurred, that would be the next leg down. That should be the shoe that comes down, where you do see. Now, guys, don't get rattled when you see Bitcoin and everything else go down.
Yeah.
The chart is calling for it. We just don't know how it's going to happen. But on top of that, everyone who's building or investing knows that the time to get in is during the bloodshed.
Yeah.
Because if you understand, if you do your research, if you understand why Bitcoin is a revolution in terms of it's like a venture capital fund, that if you have clarity of, if I put this to work, I mean, something is creative. I just saw this, I'll find it, but someone found a way to use a miner and did the numbers, the math of, instead of getting a water heater, I get a miner, put it in my house and use that to heat my water.
Right.
They said they would come out earning at the end of it all expenses in. So if you have, so you can see the revolution of Bitcoin is it literally gives you means to make a better world physically,
right,
by knowing, because it's minting an asset you can sell later. So you're actually investing towards the future when
right,
it comes to that.
Right.
So that's what Bitcoin is bringing to the world. And the time to get in is during this. And like Ann very well advised, dollar cost averaging is the best way. So these violent drops and rises,
yeah,
you're almost immune to it because you're looking for the long-term
right
investment.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Let us know what you guys think about this in the comments below as well. Would love to get your thoughts on just this entire situation with Genesis and the Winklevoss twins and what have you. So also make sure you're checking us out in the description below. We have our Discord there if you want to continue that conversation. Would love to have you guys hang out with us there as well. Now, moving on, the Federal Reserve has been making basically been telling the banks, Brandon, that they should really kind of avoid investing anymore into crypto. And so that's been something that, I don't know, the Federal Reserve in general has kind of, I don't want to say shied away from talking about cryptocurrency, because it's certainly there's something that to be said as far as that's concerned. But when you look at just their, how do I explain this? Policy. Like not necessarily the policy, but just they haven't really gone this far into
posture.
It to basically say, hey, don't do this. And that's essentially what's happening with the Federal Reserve and what they basically are telling the banks to do. The major banks, major institutions. Now, we've seen, and we've talked about it on this channel too, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they're all getting into BlackRock, all getting into cryptocurrencies, and in particular Bitcoin as well. And so now the Federal Reserve's coming out and saying, hey, you better watch out and not do this. Which is, I feel, is a strong stance from the Federal Reserve.
I mean, this is clear, though. They're setting up for the central bank coins. That's what they're doing, the CBDCs. So we went over this while you were out, but I'm going to keep bringing this up because I think we need some clarity in like the wider community. All crypto means is hidden, and cryptocurrency is a currency that applies cryptography, right? So you're hiding meanings using symbols and a cipher, right? And so just because something is crypto does not mean it's decentralized or distributed. It could be either, right? It doesn't mean that it isn't centralized. It could be centralized. All it means is there's, in some part of the system, there is a cipher applying cryptography. So not every cryptocurrency is the same as Bitcoin, right? None of the cryptocurrencies are properly the same as Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO. It's been around for the longest. It's the highest hash rate of any network on the planet. So I think a lot of these things they're talking about when they say crypto assets, what they mean is a lot of people are using these as Ponzi's, and we want you to use our Ponzi.
Yeah. Oh, there you are. Thank you. So that's one of the so think of it this way. The Federal Reserve literally are the ones who instituted the policy of the fractional reserve for banks. And literally is, I bring in actual money, $10. They can actually loan out with my 10, $100. So it's inflating. It's literally printing out of thin air more assets, more value out there, which is what inflation is. You're literally printing. Now, if you and I had this $10 and then we printed $10 more, doing exactly what the banks and the Federal Reserve are pushing for, I'd go to prison, right? Because I'm forging. But the government
they have a monopoly on it.
They have the monopoly on that, and they can make those calls. So Bitcoin itself, unless you're doing IOUs and futures contracts, it's deflationary. So the fact that they are encouraging not to invest in it is because imagine if they did, they would actually be calling into question their policies of just minting or adding more dollars to it. So I think the cap was 2%. Keep it at 1% was their policy. And yet you're seeing banks outside of the US asking for permission to go higher than those percentages. So it's a threat to their system. to the system that's been established, and that's how the United States actually establishes its power over all the other nations, because we deal in dollars, so we're not feeling as bad as someone who's using pesos,
Right.
because they have to earn enough pesos to get a dollar.
Correct.
The U.S., they're minting it, and yet since the world is using that as a basis, aren't suffering as much as the ones outside. So you can see Bitcoin literally resolves that problem, because that problem from a user standpoint. Now I can grab actual Bitcoin that Brandon knows it's real, and I can send it to him in a deal without any intermediary involving or taking loans against money that he and I just transacted.
Yeah.
There's no third party. Yeah,
There's
it's peer-to-peer cashless system.
Correct. And Bitcoin is that gold. So and they're even you're even seeing the banks, all the central banks buying gold.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if
That's
you
crazy. They're scooping it right now.
Yeah.
I think what they're doing is they're stacking it so that they can have that as like the backing for the central bank coin. They're just creating a stable coin
Absolutely.
backed by gold, which I mean, at very least it has gold backing, but it also tracks you and
Yes.
tells you, knows when you're sleeping, knows when you're awake, knows if
gold
you've been
Dick,
good or bad.
2008.
Correct. Yes.
I mean, if you account for inflation, you've lost money if you invested in gold over the last 15 years.
Correct. And that's because of all the contracts. And it's all when I say contract, it's ETFs, all the derivatives artificially hold it down.
Right.
It's not because gold, you can see once ETFs came out, that's the mechanism they use to control the price now. So I see that they're trying to do the same thing with Bitcoin, because if these futures contracts are another means to keep these prices artificially down. So it's a tool, the fractional reserve and everything else. The problem is it can implode and create bank runs when there's not enough to pay out.
Yeah.
So and it's a threat to their system to condone banks buying Bitcoin.
The condoning part is certainly something that I think makes a lot of sense. I don't want to say surprised, just a little bit. It was enough for me to notice, to talk about, that the Federal Reserve is basically coming out and saying, "Hey, don't do this." When they're not usually in that business of saying do this or don't do this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like publicly coming out and just saying it and just being out with it. So that I thought was just very interesting, and yeah, I mean, it all makes sense, right? As to why they're doing it, but thought it was important to talk about, especially if a lot of you guys out there didn't understand that as well. If you guys want to continue that conversation, as always, make sure you check out the link in the description. It's absolutely free to join our Discord. That link is down below. We'd love to have you guys over there and hang out in our community and continue to build and grow with us there. Also, make sure you're hitting that subscribe and that like button if you're enjoying the stream so far today. And we have another thing to talk about here, and it is about Binance. Bernstein actually comes out and talks about Binance and how they are not likely to fail. Amongst a lot of the other crazy failures we've seen with obviously FTX. We just got done talking to you guys about Genesis, which, hey, listen, Genesis and that whole issue is their fault, but it's not their fault like an FTX type of situation, unless some more digging comes out. That remains to be seen. But there's a lot of crypto-related companies that failed, not necessarily to a fault of their own, but they were part of the contagion. Whereas Binance seems to be quite resilient, and we've talked about this. We've had some questions about Binance, obviously with CZ and the way that he's handled the press recently has been questionable. So kind of just made us kind of ask questions about solvency and that sort of thing. But then Bernstein comes out and says that when $6 billion of customer funds are withdrawn on December 13th, Binance stayed strong. They stayed resilient. And so for that reason, they think that Binance is here to stay and they're not going anywhere. The exchange has more than 55 billion in verifiable cold wallet addresses. And Bernstein, this is Bernstein Center research report on Monday. The crypto exchange can also pass the test of withdrawals, as we talked about the $6 billion that got yanked in the middle of the month last month. And their undisputed market leadership has not been an accident. It has a long history of doing right by the customers, again, according to Bernstein.
That's the key.
That the exchange now accounts for about 75% of the global crypto trading market. And we've talked about some issues that I personally have, just having that much control over the market. But obviously, the right man is at the helm for it. I would say, and I'm sure that you probably would agree with that as well.
Yes.
But
He earned it.
it seems as if Binance isn't going anywhere, and everything that CZ has talked about as far as the amount of funds that they have available, and that they don't over leverage, and that they are solvent. It seems as if everything he was talking about, while the delivery was terrible, was the truth.
Sweaty nerd.
Yeah.
Can't talk to girls. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, I wasn't trying to say that we shouldn't trust Binance, right? When he was on CNBC and talking about all this since the FTX debacle, but it was just the way, like,
We're okay.
his delivery,
We're
like
okay.
his delivery was terrible.
Yes.
So
Okay.
anybody who isn't familiar with CZ or Binance
Right.
are going to ask those questions, which is
Right.
why I did in the first place, and I think that it was important to talk about. But it looks as if, based off of what Bernstein did in the research, that things are okay there over there at Binance.
Yeah, even CZ mentioned that January is a known month, not your keys, not your crypto month, where there's a huge outflow of crypto leaving exchanges.
Mhm.
And
Proof of keys.
yeah, proof of keys. And the whole concept behind it is proof of keys shows that you understand if it's in your possession, not in an exchange, no one can take it from you. It's safe unless you give up the words, the phrases, seed phrase. In the case of CZ, every January, ever since I've been in crypto, every January has been that exercise. Tamp makes it really useful by actually refreshing all the keys, where she creates new wallets and transfers over just in case any information ever leaves out. And I'm actually doing that this year also.
Yeah.
Is doing a new wallet with new seed phrase, not putting it anywhere, just writing on something, inscribing it in a way where my family can get to it if anything happens.
Yeah.
And CZ has always, when this Bernstein says he's done right by the customers, ever since he began, he made sure, like, he even created once the hacks were happening and he was experiencing them, he's like, okay, we're going to need raise funds to, if anything happens, we can pay back, or it's like an insurance fund for our clients. So if they're ever wronged or anything bad occurs, they're covered. And that's where the hashtag SAFU, SAFU, was born. And a lot of firsts that he would just do. So he didn't buy his way to being the market leader. He actually earned it through the process. And the fact that he even gave the advice after he saw what FTX, when he said, okay, show me the books, maybe I can buy you out or something. And then within 24 hours or less, like, no, because he saw the over leveraging, and he pinged out rules like never leverage customer funds, never, like, he came up with everything he saw wrong.
Right.
So the entire community, and then he immediately starts posting, okay, I need transparency here. Let's do proof of reserves. So he did. Now he came up with a situation where it's like, well, what if you don't have debt? Because they were saying proof of liabilities.
Yeah.
In his case, he had very few. So it's almost like an unbelievable situation where it's like, how can a business this big not have that many liabilities? So there's a lot of where he's proactive about the building, and he has that trust.
Yeah.
And the fact that everyone could pull out $6 billion worth and it's still solvent, it's still running, it truly shows that he makes his money through transaction fees, and he even lowered those. In the meantime, he's reaching out to banks globally in different countries and governments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, here's the policies. This is what I need. Are you crypto friendly? Can you support a peer-to-peer, network and legislate favorably?
Right.
And he's finding those
Yeah.
globally. We're hoping that the U.S. Retains the global leadership in technology. and not come up with draconian laws or laws that will hinder the industry.
Right.
So I see that CZ has led that push forward, and he is, which is a risk, of course. It's a risk because one, he could go nuts and now really rug pull,
or he dies,
or he dies, or his kid, it's a high risk in an industry that should be I don't know if it was a timer, sorry.
No, that's Brandon again.
A decentralized industry. So to have a central character or a central leader, centralized, quote unquote, like a single head, you cut off the head, then the whole body dies. That's the risk at this moment with him being alone there.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that there are things put in place, but I think obviously from a retail sentiment standpoint, that would certainly spook a lot of investors, and they would want to get the fuck out.
And they were getting out. And even he was posting, hey, anyone have any issues pulling out? No one was posting that their funds were frozen or couldn't get out, versus other exchanges that were like, oh, it says wait, or held back.
Yeah. Just one other thing I wanted to point out on this research from Bernstein. They said following the demise of crypto exchange FTX, now a virtual monopoly, talking about Binance. And while I can't do much about its monopolistic position, competition may now emerge from decentralized exchanges as traders could diversify their activities towards self-custody and decentralized trading platforms. And the question that I had about that in particular was, how does that actually end up happening? Like, who do you think could, or how does more competition actually get created from this? Like, what's the barrier to entry now that Binance basically owns 75% of the market share?
So you can have legitimate exchanges, CEX, centralized exchanges, come up as long as they provide as good or better service than CZ. And transparency is, so he set the bar.
Yeah.
If someone can improve on that, the market, I think, is ripe for it. And especially if they're starting in market, like the US market is fully open for a good exchange to come in and compete against Coinbase and the established ones here, and against Binance in a favorable way. FTX really fucked that shit up for themselves and the next ones coming in. But the decentralized exchanges, which Binance has built also, they have a DEX, DEX, decentralized. And you have tokens out there that provide liquidity to decentralized exchanges. And you have solutions out there, because one of the problems with decentralized exchange is you can have an algorithm watching the exchange occur, and someone can triage the deal and where you pay more, or they take a percentage of your own transactions out. They're solving those types of problems occurring. So Bernstein is correct that decentralized exchange is the most viable. So like Uniswap or 1inch, I think, is one of the ones that are out there, where I can peer-to-peer exchange. Hey, you want this token? Here you go. I'll give you this Bitcoin. Let's do the transaction. And we do it directly without a centralized exchange. So I never lose control of my tokens. You never lose control of yours. And when we pull the deal, it occurs simultaneously. So there is no
literally
risk.
like handing cash to each other.
Yes, that's what a DEX truly is. So you're eliminating the centralized side. Why do you search out me, for example, on centralized exchange? Is the fact that, say, what CZ did, Safu, where he is ensuring against the any bad actors. And by his actions, he's shown to be a trustworthy individual. So yes, I do take risks with an exchange like that, or like Coinbase, who's following all protocols. They're legal. They report to the IRS. It gives you that trust. So yeah, the future is open, guys. And Indo Crypto says DCTV DEX. Actually, we're working on Prosperity Wallet as an organization. So we will give more details on that and how this is going to work.
Stay tuned for that. I did want to address this. The Kobuk said, I don't think it's a monopoly. We had this discussion about two and a half weeks ago, I think. And by definition, it is not a monopoly. But give me somebody who actually can hold a candle next to Binance. And like, it has monopolistic characteristics.
But if you notice, it's because
Binance takes a shit, the entire industry goes dark for God knows how long. We could be in a lost decade or two if Binance goes bye-bye.
Now, here's the beauty of the way Binance became so Standard Oil and all these old monopolies that exist in the past.
Yeah.
It was through aggressive, almost killing the competition.
That's what I'm saying. Like who
In
is
this
Binance's
case,
competition? There
yes.
isn't anybody.
But
right
my
now.
point is, Binance did not go out to kill competition. The competition imploded.
Right.
So
by default, they're the only one, the last man standing, essentially.
right. So, and now encourage. And if you notice, even Binance had invested in FTX, one of the seed investors, because that was good competition, but also a way for Binance to have a foot in the US market itself.
Right.
So I can see Binance finding another one in seed investing, and then the other investors rising. Remember Blockbuster?
Yeah,
bro, that was a monopoly, and it completely.
And they still had
imploded.
other competition, Hollywood Video and some of the other ones.
But but not like
Blockbuster was the place to go, and that's what I'm saying. Like Binance is the place to go. Right.
So how did they die? Disruptive technology came up.
Right. They didn't pivot.
Yeah. And
Netflix crushed them.
And they even offered Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix offered them, guys, let's work together with your sites. No, fuck you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Go. And then they imploded.
Yep.
They were killed.
Yep.
So
Redbox messed them up too.
I was going to say Redbox too. Yeah.
Yep. And now Redbox is down.
Yeah.
Like
McDonald's.
Yeah. Redbox couldn't get into streaming and.
Correct. So this is the risk of Binance at this moment. I'm sure he's awake right now.
Yeah.
Because he realizes, okay, I'm the monopoly. He's the target now.
Right.
His organization's the target. So I think that's actually going to create competition.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that people can say, you know what, I can launch it here. Let me go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let us know what you guys think about this conversation in the comments, but also in our Discord as well. Check out the link in the description below. We'd love to have you guys in our free Discord. Is the place to be. We're gonna try to be a lot more active in that Discord too. Admittedly, we haven't been as active as we should be. So we're gonna continue to be more active ourselves in there in the coming year as we continue to grow. This has been a great stream back. Feels good to be back in the driver's seat for DCTV. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. As always, we'll get into birthdays. Coco Jones, if you guys don't know who she is, she's an actress. She's 24 years old. Where am I? I lost my spot. Chris Bryant's 30 years old. If you guys don't know Chris Bryant, baseball player. Derrick Henry, King Henry, is 28 years old. And then we have there was another birthday that was over the weekend that I forgot about, but I'll have it for you guys on Friday. But then obviously we can't forget about Danica Dillon, who was 36 today. She's best known for Up My Ass, All Day Anal, Dark Matter, Down the Hatch 26, and Human Sexapede. Human Sexapede. I knew I was going to fuck that up.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you on Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified when we do go live at 9 a.m. on Friday. And we'll see you there for Conspiracy Friday. All right, guys. Until then, keep calm, huddle on. Have a great 2023.
We'll
Keep
see you
hodling.
then. See you Friday.
See ya.